All right, we are here with my father-in-law, Joe Adams. Joe, thanks so much for being part of our class.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me this morning.
Yeah. So you own a franchise with Budget Blinds. Before we get to that, though, you were a school board member for 27 years in Katy ISD, the largest school district in Texas. Is that right? Or is it one of the largest?
It's one of the largest. It's probably about number 10. Yeah, there's larger ones, but it's about number 10, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And it's interesting, like we've been talking in our class about, making connections and networking with people. And, sometimes it's about what you know, but it's also about who you know. How did the school board help create connections, or what was did you just want to serve the community?
Yeah, it's kind of twofold. I wanted to serve the community, moved here in 1986 and was encouraged in 1989 to run for the board. There were some things going on that they felt like they needed new leadership. And so I got involved with that. But absolutely, once you get on the board, it opens up a whole group of people for you to meet. And it's just like whether it's a school or church or a community or whatever, it's just a whole different group of people that we get to meet.
Well, and in 27 years of service was they named a junior high school after you there in Katy as well. Man, that's quite an honor.
Yeah, it is an honor. You like to think you did something right whenever you were on the board, and they did it well enough where people recognized you. It wasn't my ambition to have a school named after me, but after I got off the board in 2016, and then a couple of years later, they started the process, and some people, including my wife, nominated me, and it just became to fruition. So the school was under construction whenever we got told about it, and then they finished it, and then we had our big open dedication in February about 3 years ago. So it's been really really good.
Yeah. That's it. So now you own a franchise with Budget Blinds, and they provide the mini blinds in houses and businesses. Is that right?
Yes, it's Budget Blinds is a franchise, and we're under a company called Home Franchise Company, HFC. So there are several different companies that they have that they franchise out. Budget Blinds is a company that we supply window coverings for a company for individuals, whether it be individuals or commercial, and it can include anything from your 2-inch full wood blinds or wood blinds, which most people have in their houses, or shutters. It can be draperies, roller shades, Roman shades, vertical blinds, and then we also do uh, extras on those. We can motorize all those things, but we have Budget Blinds, as the name implies. It should be less expensive. It's not a cheap product, but it's a product that we go into the homes and we carry our samples with us, and whatever the customer wants, we'll display them right there so they can compare colors and how they want the house to look, and we can give them without them running back and forth to some big box store or uh, another company that may do blinds that just has a storefront. But it is a franchise, and there's 1,100 franchises all over the United States, and then we're also in Canada
Okay.
as well. I don't know how many are there, but we have about 1,100 franchises in the United States.
So there's a lot of franchising opportunities out there. There's a lot of different businesses. What did you see in the market that made you, these mini blinds look great here. What is it? What was it about this business model that you liked?
Well, of course, anytime that you get into a business, money is king, and you wanted to make sure that your return on your investment was there. So we felt like that we could go in and be a part of this organization and have a defined expense every month that we had, because you do have to pay royalties, and Budget Blinds as such is not a manufacturer of blinds. We buy blinds from other companies like Hunter Douglas or Springs or Horizons. And so what they are is a marketing tool for us, and they supply us with opportunity to get better pricing from these vendors, but they also supply us with things like the website that you're looking at. They supply us with contacts with things like HGTV that you see on television, and they also supply us with the internet connections that we have right here, and also giving us leads to follow up on.
Okay, so like if you own a McDonald's franchise, you have to buy the hamburger patties from McDonald's Incorporated. But with budget blinds, they're not making the blinds. They are the middleman between you and the blinds company, getting the price of the blinds down, providing you with leads to go people who are interested in buying blinds. They send it directly to you. That's kind of what their role is?
Now, that's the general rule. They encourage you to also go and do advertising on your own as well. And we go through a schooling of about 2 weeks, and they encourage you to spend a certain amount on advertising outside of what they do, because you know better in your area what is going to work, as opposed to say something in not Houston, but maybe in New York or California or something like that.
So you're in the Katy area. So do you run budget blinds in the Katy area then? Is that your franchise area?
No, the budget blinds, the way it works is that you buy the franchise, and so you have the opportunity to have a franchise, and then once you get the franchise, then they will you buy territories, and the
Okay.
territories are controlled by zip codes, and each territory basically makes up about 30,000 households,
Okay.
and so my zip codes are back in towards Houston, back towards the center of Houston.
Okay.
I lived in Katy since 1986, but this territory out here was already taken by
Mhm.
another franchisee, so I had to find another territory to purchase.
So so then as far as the franchise opportunities, and I see it here on the website, the franchise opportunities there, what is the buy-in? What is the initial cost to get in? What are the costs that you have to be able to run this as a business?
Well, to get into the business, you're probably I would just lump it into with the franchise cost and with the territory cost, you're talking probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000. Um, and then on top of that, when you buy into that, that includes all your samples that you will get from all the alliance partners that they have, uh, and then you have to buy your own van. You're
Okay.
required to buy a van. They'll furnish you a wrap to go on the van, but you then will have to set up your own office if you want to do that. And that's the thing about budget blinds, is that it's a home-based business.
Okay.
So we're not, you can have a storefront, but there's really no advantage to having a storefront, because we try to keep our costs and overhead as low as we can while we're doing this. But then once you get rolling, and there's a lot to it, and from the operations side of things, is that you have a defined area that you sell in, and you have to stay within that area. I can't run out here to Katy and sell blinds in Katy, because it's not my area.
Yeah.
And that's a contract infringement when you do that. So, and you could lose your contract if you have that. So what happens is, when you get rolling and everything, then as most franchises have, is there is a fee associated with operating the franchise, and that fee, some franchises do a percentage of your total sales, and some franchises have a fixed fee. In our case, Budget Blinds has a fixed fee. So whether I sell $1 worth of blinds, or I sell, $100,000 worth of blinds in a month, my fee is the same. So it's
Wait a minute. So you don't pay a percentage of royalty? Like, we talked to the Kitty Academy guy there in College Station, and he pays about 9% between the royalty and the advertising budget. But for you, you have to pay a set amount. If you sell no many blinds in a month, you still have to pay that fee. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, and that amount is about $2,500. Yeah.
Wow, $2,500 a month, even if you don't sell any mini blinds. Is that
You-
do you like that system, or would you rather have had a royalty system?
Um, it depends on what your sales are for that month, because if you're way under, when we've been through some COVID stuff, but it would have been better to have had it compared to the having it done with a percentage. But it's up and down, depends on what you do. And so they base your sales on $30,000 of sales per month, and you had to go through all this by law. They have to furnish you all this information about the areas and what the franchise is doing, and what's expected and what the average is, and it's a lot of stuff. So they've got it down to a fine science. In addition to the royalties, you have to pay an advertising fee,
Mm,
and the advertising fee is like I might have missed. I think it's the six. Yeah, it's about 2,000 for the royalties and about $1,500 for advertising.
okay, so $3,500 a month.
$3,500, and then there's probably $100 um, for the internet access, and also for just having leads sent to you. Yeah.
Okay. And so you've got to probably sell a lot of blinds in. So let's say you go to your Joe average consumer's house, and what's an average gross sale in that house, and what's maybe the profit on that?
Well, I would say that probably just according to what we've been doing, and we keep up with that with analytics and all, but it's probably gross sales is probably around $2,000 per sale. Yeah.
Okay. And
And
after you pay for the blinds, and after you pay your employees and all of that stuff, what's maybe your profit from there?
it's probably, net, if you want to know the end of the day, the net on that sale is probably, because I'm taking consideration the fact that you buy the blinds, how much it costs to drive out there, how much employees and everything. And at the end of the day, as they say, your profit after taxes and everything, you're about somewhere between 15 and 20%.
Okay. So you make $600 potentially on a $2,000 sale. Okay. And so how many so with doing the business that way, then how many people do you have to go and quote a price to? What's the average? Like, what's the closing rate? Like, let's say I pitch 10 potential homes. Do you get 5 of those? Do you get 3 of those? What's the percentage there?
It's about we close about anywhere between 60 and 70%.
Wow. Okay. So most people, when they get the generated lead through budget blinds, they call you, you come out, and 60 to 70% of the time, you can close them by getting blinds that are on average $2,000 a piece.
Yeah, and keep in consideration too is that we charge to install. So if you have a house that's got 10 blinds in it, I'm going to charge you $100 to come out, take down what you got, and put up what I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So is the marketing wing of what budget blinds worth the cost that you're paying, or if you could do it all over again, knowing what you know now, would you just say, I'm going to make Joe Adams blinds for, Houston or something like that, your own company doing your own thing?
Anytime you start a company, you're starting from ground zero. And so whenever you have someone like a franchise like Budget Blinds, I think it's a leg up on you, because as you can go online and see, and even on television and on your computer, you probably have pop-ups at all time. If you ever put in blinds as a search item, you're going to start getting emails from Budget Blinds, because we're right at the top, because they are placing us and have contracts with Google and other companies to keep us at the very top. So when someone is searching for blinds, our name pops up at the top, and then the person will go in and say, okay, let's say I live in Tomball or whatever, and they punch in their zip code, and it automatically directs them to us, that franchise in that area. And they say they're interested, and we will get in touch with them and send them information about our product, or we will make contact with them and then make an appointment and go see them.
Okay. Gotcha. So So what would you say your 100 grand, I think we look at this investment here, that your startup costs were, kind of what you said about 100 grand, then you got to buy a van and then you got to have an home office and some other things. You're $125,000 in, or whatever. Did you finance any of that, or did you just go straight cash and pay for it up front?
No, we did some financing on it and paid it back. But keep in mind too, you don't just open up a franchise with purchase price. I mean, you've got to have operating capital as well. And so it's as it says on the deal, you need, they want you to have a minimum of about $35,000 operating capital to do your purchases and just to operate and pay your people. And so you've got to have operating expenses, and you have to be real careful because it's you can run out of money if you don't have good sales and things are not working out. You can run out of money, and you have to close down.
Yeah. So on your initial investment, and how many years have you owned this franchise?
Well, our contracts are for 10 years. I'm in my second contract. So, and I'm at year 7 now. So I've done it 17 years.
17 years. Okay. So on average, over your 17 years, what would you say is maybe your average gross revenue, and maybe profit over a year?
Probably the gross revenue per year runs around probably 400, 450.
Wow.
And then out of that, we probably, you can expense a lot of stuff through your company, but we
Right.
probably, as far as what we're doing, we probably make, $45,000, $50,000 a year doing that.
Okay. So to the new franchise, so a person looking prospectively, saying, man, I want to quit my job and own a franchise, would you advise them to go into a Budget Blinds franchise?
It depends on, number one, it's location, location, location. I mean,
Right.
because you've got to have an area, and you've got to be a good manager and figure out what you're going to be doing. This is not you're your own boss. I mean, I fire myself about once a week, because it's with what's going on. And but you're subject to, let's just say, everything that's going on right now with our economy and supply chain management. A lot of our things do come from overseas, and it's the time has slipped on us. But the good thing about it is everybody's time, whether I'm competing against other companies that sell blinds or competing against big box stores, everybody's costs are going up. So we're going up, and then freight charges go up. So it's more expensive. It's if you can make yourself be disciplined in what you're doing and not have somebody looking over your shoulder all the time, because Budget Blinds has got a contract with you and they expect to get that royalty and those payments for advertising every month, and you're obligated to do that. So it's for them, if you don't want to participate in what they're doing, even though they encourage you to buy from their vendors, which gives you a better price and a better known quality, then you will be short-lived for this world in the blind business.
And what if you just had 3 horrible months and you just were like, hey, Budget Blinds, here's the deal. I can't pay you your royalty this month. I mean, or maybe let's say, you know what? I'm tired of dealing with Budget Blinds and I'm in year 7 like you are, and I want out of my contract. How does that work?
You forfeit everything you've got. I mean, they generally will, I had a territory that was non-productive territory, and I ended up going back to them and saying, I don't want to continue paying royalties and advertising on that territory. And so I basically said, I'm going to give it back to you. Now, what I paid for that territory was forfeited. I don't get any of that money back.
Wow. Okay.
And so they will turn around and repost that territory and sell it to somebody else. So it's like somebody buying a car that can't make their payments. They repossess it and then they sell it again. So they make their money in.
So the new territory you got, you had to buy that one again?
No, I didn't get a new one. I had two. I just gave up one of them.
Oh, okay, I see. Gotcha. So they don't seek litigation. They don't go like, hey, if you don't honor this 10-year contract, we're going to sue you for breach of contract.
It's hard to do that, within from California to Texas because Texas laws that prevent that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And so, as far as this franchise goes, what kind of things about the franchise that bother you, or do you feel like overall the franchise has been a really good one?
No, I think that we've looked at other franchises, and we find out that their royalty fees are much higher.
Mm,
I'm involved in this business. I do the sales. I have installers that are contract installers. I have a lady that works for me. I try to push off as much as I can to, employee services companies, let them I just turn in how much they're due and let them handle all the taxes and everything like that. So I try to push away all the expenses I can and liabilities associated with that.
yeah. And you also own a home repair business too, right? Like that you guys go in and do repairs. So do you find that the business are complementary? Maybe you go in for you fix the blinds and you're like, hey, by the way, I could also fix your fence or something else. Is there some kind of upsell complementary there?
Yeah, there's always that. I mean, you go into a house, you can always drop off another card and say it's actually my other company's called Blue Bonnet Painting and Renovations, and
Okay.
so I'm not limited by that because that is not a franchise, but
Right.
I can people that may say live out here that I know that are not in my territory or my church, I'm more apt to sell to them because just people knowing me. But I
Yeah.
go into houses sometimes and they're talking about that they need to do this, this, and this before they buy the blinds. Well, I want that sell on the blinds, so I can offer my services through Bluebonnet and get that done and make a sell on that, and then also make the sell on the blinds as well.
Now, Bluebonnet is not a franchise,
No,
and you bought that business, right? Or is that right?
yeah, I bought that business probably 10 years ago or so from a guy that was moving to New Jersey, and he'd actually painted my house several times and done some work for me, and I knew him, and so he wanted to sell it, and it was that's pretty much my own advertising either through Valpak or Money Mailer or things like that, and I did some advertising in some homeowner association magazines. So you have to look at that. I could probably do more with that, but I have to watch my cost on that pretty closely.
And one of the things we've talked about, we just finished a section in our class on real estate investing and all that kind of stuff. And I know you and Donna and Donna's my mother-in-law, like love rental properties and investing in real estate as well too. I wanted to share this real quick here. You guys have invested in rental properties in the Navasota area, which is near College Station. You can see College Station's here where Texas A&M is at. What is it about Navasota that you guys have gone in and paid cash for properties? Why?
Well, we just, it's whenever you have the cash and it's sitting in the bank earning 1%, you look at it and say, why not put this money to work for you that you can earn a higher percentage on it? Because whenever you can buy a house for say $150,000 and do a little work on it, fix it up, and then you have a return on it of say, $1,400-$1,500 a month. Well, you're gonna make money. Yes, our money's tied up, but we're making money on our money. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Why is it this way? This community?
Well, it's close enough to A&M that there's some people that work there. There's a lot of commuters that live in Navasota and drive to College Station for the campus, or they'll go to other places around. I have two houses there. One of them, a person works in town in Navasota at Ace Hardware. The other ones work in Hearne, Texas, north of College Station, and they commute every day. So it's a community. It's a blue collar. People are just hardworking people. They want a good price. I could definitely, if I had the same kind of house here in Houston, I could make more money on it, but the cost to purchase that house would be much more to buy.
Right.
Yeah.
And you guys also bought vacant land. Where's the vacant land that you purchased?
Yeah, the vacant land is somewhere between Navasota and Madisonville on Texas 90. You look at that. It's called Iola. You'd have to zoom way in to get it. It's that close up there to Badias, where you saw Badias up there on your map. And it's about 16 acres of land, and that is an investment. We do lease that land. It has an ag exemption on it, but we lease that land to a guy to run cows on. So we're not making much money. That's more of a placeholder for us for some cash.
And why? What is it about this area? Why buy vacant land in the middle of nowhere?
I ask my wife that every day. Uh, she wanted to buy the land because she thinks that the Texas Aggie Highway that's coming from Houston up close to A&M is going to be a high-speed rail. That land is going to increase in value over the next few years. So she wanted to buy that land. I did not want to buy something that had a house on it or anything. Well, I would if it was the right thing, but there's just not a lot up there that you can buy that has a house on it that people would be willing to live in and drive a long ways to go to work.
So the opportunity that you say is that there's going to be a high-speed rail from College Station to Houston, and if you buy land right here,
Yeah,
people can drive to College Station, drink their morning coffee, get on their laptop, and in 1 hour be in Houston, downtown Houston, right, for work.
yeah, it's probably even less than that because it's only going to stop there, but it's going to be stopping in a place called Roans Prairie. It's outside about 20 miles outside of College Station, so it doesn't actually pull up to a station in College Station,
Okay.
and but it's going to be an opportunity for people to go from Houston to Dallas in a couple of hours.
Rome's Prairie.
Yeah, it's if you magnify your map there and look at Texas 90 running between Navasota and Madisonville, you'll see it.
Oh, that is a small. I still don't even see it. Rome's Prairie.
Can you magnify this?
Yeah, let's see.
Go back to Madisonville. See if you can find Madisonville. Then
Okay.
take a right.
Oh, Madisonville is to the right of Oh, I'm looking at Huntsville, aren't I? Let's see here. Okay. So it's in here somewhere.
So
To the right of it.
So Madison, no, not to the right, to the left of Madisonville. It's back down towards 290, back down towards Highway 6.
Okay. It's going to be in this, and that's probably a good spot though, because you probably don't want to build a rail right along a major freeway like that. And so they build it there, and you go there, and then ride down to Houston.
Ride to Houston or to Dallas, yeah.
And is the cat out of the bag on this investment? Does everybody already know about this? I mean, when I was talking to Dawn about this last summer, it was like, it's the first I had heard about it, but it sounded like, I mean, because she works in that industry, so she knows that. But are other people taking the same opportunity and going in and buying vacant land there as well?
Yes, and that is proven by the fact that the price of land has gone up quite a bit. I mean, we've looked at additional land up in that area, 10-acre tracts, and they want $35,000 an acre to buy land and out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Wow. And you just put a cow on it and you get the tax write-off.
There's regulations that you have to follow to do that. You've got to have a pond or water, and it's got to be fenced, of course, and it has to be. You don't get your ag exemption immediately. We are assuming this land from somebody else that we bought, and they had an ag exemption, so we were able to just have the ag exemption transferred to us. But ordinarily, you would have to maintain what you were doing for a period of years, like 5 years, and then apply for the ag exemption.
Okay, interesting. Well, Joe, man, I appreciate you coming in and being part of our class today. This has been fantastic.
Well, it's good. The franchising business is in a lot of different areas. Like you've already heard about Kid Academy and having a franchise to educate kids or take care of kids. everything from honey baked hams to everything. We looked at all of them, and this seemed to be the best one for us. It's been a wild ride. It's been ups and downs and hurricanes and COVID and all that, but we've hung in there, and this contract's coming up. You asked me a question a while ago, and I'll just say this is that I was in the oil and gas business for 30 years, and I've been doing this for almost 20. So at the end of this second 10-year, I don't think I'll renew it, but I'll probably, before it expires, I'll probably sell it to somebody else. So it'll maintain its value, because you can renew it for $1,000, but I'll probably sell it off before I do that.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much.